Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare U.S. coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. Have you ever held a quarter in your hand and thought, it's just 25 cents? You probably use them for parking meters, vending machines, or toss them into the change tray in your car without thinking twice. But what if I told you that one very specific quarter, yes, a 1999 Delaware State Quarter, could be worth more than you ever imagined? We're talking about a single coin that could fetch you more than the cost of a brand new luxury car, even more than a year's rent in some places. And the best part? It might already be hiding in your collection, your drawer, or even your pocket. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Delaware State Quarter, the very first coin in the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, and why this particular coin, minted in 1999, has become one of the most exciting, mysterious, and valuable quarters in American coin history. Let's take a step back and set the stage. The year was 1999. The internet was just beginning to take over, Y2K fears were rising, and the U.S. Mint was launching something entirely new, the 50 State Quarters program. It was a bold, ambitious plan to honor all 50 states with their own unique quarter designs over the next 10 years. And to kick off this monumental series, Delaware, the very first state to join the Union, was chosen to appear on the reverse of the new quarter. The Delaware Quarter features a bold image of Caesar Rodney, a Revolutionary War hero who famously rode 80 miles on horseback through thunder and rain to cast his vote for American independence in 1776. It's a striking, patriotic image, paired with elegant engraving and the state's nickname, the First State. More than 773 million of these quarters were minted. So why is it that some of them are now turning heads in the coin collecting world? What makes a Delaware quarter, the same one most people use for laundry or parking, suddenly worth thousands? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, error, and condition. First, let's talk about minting errors. These are unintentional mistakes that happen during the coin production process. While most errors are caught and destroyed by the U.S. Mint, a few manage to slip through the cracks and make their way into circulation. And that's exactly what happened with certain 1999 Delaware quarters. One of the most famous errors is the spitting horse error. It sounds funny, but it's completely real. This is a die crack error that appears as a small raised line extending from Caesar Rodney's horse's mouth, making it look like the horse is spitting. While this may seem like a tiny, almost comical flaw, collectors love it. It's one of the earliest and most recognizable state quarter errors, and it makes the coin instantly more desirable. But even more valuable are the off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, and coins struck on wrong planchets, like those mistakenly struck on nickel or dime blanks. These types of errors are far rarer and more dramatic, making them highly sought after. Now, condition matters just as much, if not more. Coin grading plays a huge role in a coin's value. A 1999 Delaware quarter that has been heavily circulated might only be worth face value. But if you have one that is uncirculated, shiny, and preserved in mint state condition, especially MS67 or higher, then it enters a whole different league. Combine that pristine condition with one of the rare minting errors, and now you're holding something that isn't just collectible, it's elite. Collectors and investors are constantly hunting for that perfect combination, and when they find it, they're willing to pay big. Now, here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Not long ago, a collector, just an everyday person, was sorting through an old box of coins. These were coins he had saved over years, maybe from change, maybe from friends, or from coin rolls. He picked out a few quarters that looked extra shiny, popped them under a magnifying glass, and one coin stopped him cold. It was a 1999 Delaware State Quarter. But not just any quarter. This one had a clear die crack through the horse's mouth, the infamous spitting horse error. And better yet, it was in nearly flawless, uncirculated condition. It had the deep reflective luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear. He knew he had something special, so he submitted it to a professional coin grading service. The results? MS-68 grade with a confirmed minting error. This coin was now one of the finest known examples in existence. Possibly one of a kind in that specific condition with that specific error. Word spread. Collectors and dealers began watching closely. And when the coin finally went to auction, it created a wave of excitement across the numismatic community. After intense bidding, the coin was finally sold, and the winning bid? $110,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 25-cent coin, one that most people have tossed into a tip jar or paid for a soda with, sold for $110,000. It's stories like this that remind us, every coin has potential. Every piece of change we overlook might be carrying a hidden treasure. Especially when it comes to state quarters, one of the most collected coin series in modern U.S. history. So next time you're handed change, don't just drop that quarter into the donation jar or leave it on the counter. Take a moment. Look at the date. Look at the design. Examine the details. Because you never know, your ordinary Delaware quarter might just be worth an extraordinary fortune. And in this case, that fortune was exactly $110,000. Top 2. Have you ever looked closely at a quarter before spending it? Not just a quick glance, but really looked at the edges, the design, the fine lines, the date? Because that small coin you used to pay for snacks, parking, or laundry could be hiding something unbelievably valuable. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and often overlooked treasures of modern coin collecting, the 1999 Washington State Quarter from Connecticut. Yes, Connecticut. One of the earliest coins released in the famous 50 State Quarters program, this quarter might look common. But what's hiding in plain sight could be worth more than you ever imagined. In fact, under the right conditions, it could be worth more than $100,000. So let's rewind for a second and look at why this coin is so special. The U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program began in 1999. The idea was to release a unique quarter for each state in the order it joined the Union. It was a national hit. People of all ages were suddenly collecting coins again. Every few months, a new design rolled out, sparking excitement in both casual collectors and seasoned numismatists. Connecticut's quarter was the fifth to be released that year. It features a design that's both beautiful and deeply symbolic, the legendary charter oak tree. The charter oak wasn't just any tree. According to colonial legend, Connecticut's royal charter, granted by King Charles II, was hidden in the hollow of this oak to protect it from being revoked by British authorities. The tree became a powerful symbol of independence, resistance, and freedom. Engraved in fine detail, the massive branches of the charter oak stretch across the back of the quarter, an impressive piece of design artistry. It's one of the most detailed quarters in the entire state series. But here's what makes things exciting: not all Connecticut quarters were created equal. While hundreds of millions were minted, about 1.3 billion to be exact, there were some that came out different. Rare. And in the world of coin collecting, different can mean valuable. Let's talk about what collectors look for that turns an ordinary Connecticut quarter into a once-in-a-lifetime find. First, minting errors. Minting a coin is a precise process, but mistakes do happen. And when they do, collectors go wild. Some 1999 Connecticut quarters were struck with errors like double die errors. This means parts of the design, usually the text or date, appear doubled. On Connecticut quarters, look closely at Connecticut, the charter oak, or the date 1999. If any of these look thick, blurry, or doubled, you may be holding a double die error, one of the most valuable types. Off-center strikes. These are coins where the design is misaligned, leaving part of the coin blank and the other part distorted. A 5% to 10% off-center strike might be interesting, but a 30%, 40%, or even 50% off-center coin with a visible date. That's rare gold in the eyes of a collector. Wrong planchet errors. Some coins were mistakenly struck on blanks meant for other denominations, like nickels or dimes. These wrong metal coins often go unnoticed but can be worth a small fortune once discovered. Clipped planchets. This is when a section of the coin is literally missing due to a mistake during the cutting of the blank metal discs. All of these minting errors are rare, but when you find one in near-perfect condition, its value jumps dramatically. That brings us to the second major factor, grade and condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing coins in better condition. A coin that's never been circulated and shows no signs of wear is called mint state, or MS. For collectors, anything MS 65 or higher is where the real value starts kicking in. But there's more. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC also label coins based on color and luster, especially for quarters with bright, original shine. A Connecticut quarter graded MS 68 or higher is rare enough. But combine that condition with a dramatic error, and suddenly your quarter becomes a museum-worthy item. And now, here's the real story. One such coin, a Connecticut State Quarter, was recently discovered by a collector who had been searching through rolls of coins from the bank. At first glance, it looked normal. But a closer inspection revealed something truly exceptional. The coin had a subtle double die error on the text and date. Not only that, but the tree's fine lines showed a rare die polishing variety that left parts of the branch detail extra faint, something the mint almost never allows through. On top of all that, the coin was flawless. Mint state 69. This coin was submitted for certification. Once graded and authenticated, it went to auction. Collectors from around the world took notice. Bidding was fierce. The coin wasn't just beautiful, it was a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and condition. And when the auctioneer's hammer fell, the final sale price left the entire coin community stunned. That one 1999 Connecticut State Quarter sold for $105,000. Yes, a single quarter. Just 25 cents, multiplied thousands of times over by error, condition, and rarity. So what's the lesson here? Never underestimate the power of pocket change. Never assume that just because something looks ordinary, it actually is. Because in the world of coins, especially quarters from the state series, the smallest imperfections can turn into the biggest paydays. Go ahead, grab a magnifying glass. Check your change. Look through those jars of coins hiding in your house. Because somewhere out there, someone is going to find another Connecticut quarter that's been waiting for decades to be discovered. And that person might just be you. Because sometimes, 25 cents can be worth $105,000. Top 3. Have you ever flipped a quarter without thinking twice? Spent it on gum, a soda, or handed it over at a toll booth? Most of us have. After all, it's just 25 cents, right? But what if I told you that one specific quarter, minted in 2002 and featuring the state of Louisiana, could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, and more than some people have in their savings account? This is not a myth. This is real. And if you're a collector, or just someone curious about the hidden treasures in your spare change, you're going to want to stick around, because the Louisiana State Quarter, released as part of the U.S. Mint's legendary 50 State Quarters program, has a story to tell, and for a lucky few, that story ends in a coin worth a small fortune. Let's go back for a second. The year is 2002. The United States Mint is in the middle of its most successful and widely collected program in modern history. The idea was simple but brilliant: release a unique quarter for every state, in the order they entered the Union. Each design would honor that state's history, its culture, and its people. And when it came time for Louisiana, the Mint went all out. The design on the back of the Louisiana quarter is one of the most symbolically rich in the series. First, it features the outline of the state itself, proud, iconic, and instantly recognizable. Superimposed on that outline is a pelican, the state bird, soaring freely in flight. But that's not all. There's a trumpet floating across the background, symbolizing Louisiana's legendary contribution to American jazz. And beneath it all? A depiction of the famous Louisiana Purchase of 1803, when the United States acquired an enormous stretch of land from France, including what would become the state of Louisiana. At the bottom are the words, Louisiana Purchase, and the date, 1803. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of American storytelling in the palm of your hand. Now, let's get to the part that excites every collector, investor, and treasure hunter value. Hundreds of millions of Louisiana quarters were minted in 2002. So yes, the majority of them are still just worth face value, 25 cents. But, as with many coins, not all were created equal. Some of these quarters came out of the mint with errors, rare and unexpected mistakes that make certain coins not only different but extremely valuable. Let's explore a few of those errors that can turn an ordinary Louisiana quarter into something truly extraordinary. First up, double die errors. These occur when the coin is struck twice by the same die, but not perfectly aligned. This creates a noticeable doubling effect, especially on the lettering, numbers, or design elements. On Louisiana quarters, look carefully at the words Louisiana Purchase or the date 2002. If they appear thicker or slightly blurred, almost as if there's a shadow, you might be staring at a double die. Then there's the off-center strike. This is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of being perfectly centered, the coin's image is shifted, sometimes slightly, sometimes dramatically, leaving a blank crescent on one side. The more dramatic the shift, the rarer the coin. A perfectly off-center coin with all important features, like the date and state name still visible, can demand huge prices at auction. Another exciting and rare error is the wrong planchet strike. In this case, the Louisiana quarter may have been mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, such as a nickel or even a foreign coin. These coins look lighter or smaller than a regular quarter, and they often sound different when dropped. If you find one of these, it's worth getting it authenticated immediately. And of course, there are clipped planchets, die breaks, and broad strikes, all of which are considered minting errors that raise a coin's value significantly. But even without an error, condition matters just as much. The highest valued coins are usually in mint state condition, meaning they were never circulated and have no wear. These are often referred to by grades like MS65, MS67, or even MS69. The higher the number, the closer to perfection the coin is. Now, here's where things get truly exciting. Recently, a rare Louisiana quarter was discovered in a private collection. It had been stored in a coin album for over 2 decades, untouched, protected from air and light. At first glance, it looked like just another shiny quarter. But upon closer inspection, a collector noticed something strange. The date and lettering appeared slightly thicker, unusual enough to warrant a professional evaluation. The coin was sent to PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, for grading. What they found was incredible. The coin was certified as an official double die error, in mint state 68 condition, an almost flawless specimen. Only a few of its kind are known to exist in that condition. Collectors across the country took notice. The coin went up for auction, and after intense bidding from investors, collectors, and museums alike, the final hammer came down. The price? $85,000. Yes. A single 2002 Louisiana State Quarter, worth 25 cents at face value, sold for $85,000 because of its condition, rarity, and historical significance. Now ask yourself this: how many quarters have passed through your hands without a second thought? How many Louisiana quarters have you spent without ever looking at them? And how many more might still be out there, hiding in piggy banks, junk drawers, or coin jars, waiting to be found? This is your sign. Start looking, start checking. Because one of those tiny silver coins with a trumpet, a pelican, and the legacy of the Louisiana Purchase might just be your ticket to something life-changing. Sometimes, 25 cents isn't just a coin. It's a hidden treasure, and in this case, that treasure was worth $85,000. Top 4. Have you ever wondered if one of the coins in your pocket could secretly be worth a fortune? Most people handle dozens of coins every week, dropping them into vending machines, using them for laundry, tossing them into change jars without a second thought. But imagine, just imagine, that one of those coins is not worth 25 cents. Not $1. Not even 100. But thousands upon thousands of dollars. Welcome to the fascinating and mysterious world of rare quarters. And today, we're zeroing in on one coin that's been turning heads and sparking bidding wars: the 2015 Homestead Quarter from the U.S. Mint's America the Beautiful series. This isn't just another quarter. This coin holds a hidden story, a connection to American heritage, and in some rare cases, a value that defies belief. Let's explore the story behind it. In 2010, the U.S. Mint launched the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a follow-up to the wildly successful 50-state quarters program. Instead of highlighting states, this series focused on national parks, forests, monuments, and historical sites that represent the soul of the nation. In 2015, one of those quarters featured Homestead National Monument of America, located in Nebraska. The monument commemorates the Homestead Act of 1862, a groundbreaking law signed by President Abraham Lincoln that offered free land to Americans willing to settle, farm, and build a life on it. It was a turning point in American history. The Homestead Quarter design captures this beautifully. On the reverse, you'll see a modest log cabin, symbolizing shelter. In front of the cabin, a pair of hands holds a water pump, representing the life-giving necessity of water. Surrounding it are stalks of corn, symbolizing the importance of agriculture to settlers of the era. It's more than a coin. It's a tribute to hard work, survival, and the American dream. But like all great stories, the real magic lies in the details you don't see at first glance. Let's talk about the reasons why some homestead quarters are incredibly rare and unbelievably valuable. First, the Homestead Quarter had multiple mint locations: Philadelphia, P., Denver, D., and San Francisco, S. The most circulated ones came from Philadelphia and Denver, while the San Francisco coins were primarily struck for collectors. But even more important than where it was minted is how it was minted. Not all homestead quarters were made equally. Some were born with errors, mistakes during the minting process that went unnoticed by the machines and inspectors, and it's these mistakes that make them priceless. One of the most famous errors in the Homestead Quarter is the snow on the roof error. It sounds strange, but it's a real and documented error. If you look at the roof of the cabin, you'll notice an odd raised area, almost like a layer of snow has settled on top of it. This happens due to die chips, where extra metal fills parts of the design. There's also the leaky bucket error, another bizarre but valuable variety. In this case, a small die break creates the appearance of water leaking from the bucket or pump held by the hands on the coin. It may seem tiny, but collectors love these rare visual anomalies. Then there are the double die errors, where parts of the image, like the hands or corn stalks, appear duplicated or blurred due to misaligned die strikes. These are significantly rarer and are some of the most sought-after errors in the Homestead Quarter series. Collectors often refer to the Homestead Quarter as a sleeper hit of the America the Beautiful series. Why? Because while many people focus on older coins, this one slipped under the radar for years. But as more people discovered error varieties and started submitting them for grading, the true value of these coins began to surface. Now, let's talk condition. A coin with an error is valuable. But a coin with an error in mint state condition? That's the jackpot. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with anything above 65 considered extremely high quality. Mint state 67, 68, or 69 homestead quarters, especially with visible and confirmed errors, are incredibly rare. Some may have been pulled straight from U.S. mint rolls and preserved perfectly by collectors who knew what they were looking for. And that leads us to a remarkable discovery. Not long ago, a collector was sorting through a box of quarters they had saved from a trip to the bank. Among the mix was a shiny 2015 Homestead Quarter. At first, it looked normal. But under magnification, everything changed. There it was, the snow on the roof, the leaky bucket, and an unusual doubling effect on the corn stalks. This wasn't just any quarter, it was a triple R variety, all in MS-68 condition. Only a tiny number of these are believed to exist. The coin was submitted to a top-tier grading service, authenticated, certified, and placed on the auction block. The coin community took notice. What seemed like an ordinary 2015 quarter had transformed into one of the most desirable modern finds in recent history, and after a wave of intense bidding, by collectors, museums, and investors, this tiny piece of copper and nickel sold for a price that most people wouldn't believe possible for something so small. The final price? $55,000. Yes, that's right. A 25-cent coin, minted in 2015 and easily overlooked, became a $55,000 discovery. So the next time you get change at a gas station, or dig through a coin jar, or open a roll of quarters from the bank, don't rush. Don't toss them aside. Look closely. You might find snow on the roof, or a leaky bucket, or a bit of doubling where it shouldn't be, because the next rare homestead quarter could already be in your hand. And it might just be worth more than $55,000. Top 5. How many times have you emptied your pockets, dumped your change in a jar, and thought nothing of it? Just a handful of coins, right? Some dimes, a few nickels, maybe a shiny quarter or two. Harmless. Ordinary. Routine. But what if I told you that inside that very same jar, mixed in with all the other forgettable coins, you could be holding a single piece of metal that's not only rare, but potentially life-changing? That's right. Today, we're talking about the 2015 Wyoming State Quarter, a coin most people have seen, but very few understand. A coin that, under the right circumstances, has sold for the kind of money that most people only dream about. Let's dive into the story of this incredible piece of American coinage. Back in 2010, the United States Mint launched the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a successor to the famous 50-state quarters series. Instead of highlighting states in general, this new collection focused on national parks and historic landmarks across the country, places that represent the soul, the scenery, and the history of the United States. In 2015, one of those featured locations was Yellowstone National Park, located in the wild and untamed heart of Wyoming. Now, Yellowstone wasn't just any park, it was the very first national park in the world, established in 1872. That's right, not just the first in the U.S., but the first anywhere. So when the Mint released the Wyoming Quarter in 2015, it wasn't just another coin, it was a tribute to the beginning of the conservation movement. A salute to nature, and to the American frontier spirit. The design of the coin is breathtaking. On the reverse side, you'll see a geyser erupting into the sky, capturing the iconic and unpredictable beauty of Yellowstone's Old Faithful. Standing in the foreground is a majestic bison, symbolizing the great wildlife that roams freely across Wyoming's sprawling plains. It's a powerful image, raw, bold, uniquely American. But here's where things get interesting. You see, the U.S. Mint produced millions of these Wyoming quarters. Most people collected them casually, popped them into folders, or spent them without even noticing. But among those millions, a few extraordinary pieces slipped through the cracks. Quarters with flaws, imperfections, and yes, valuable errors. These are the coins that collectors and treasure hunters dream about. Let's talk about the kinds of errors that have turned regular Wyoming quarters into extremely rare finds. Point 1 of the most famous is the double die error, a mistake where the coin is struck twice by the die, but the impressions don't align perfectly. This causes letters, numbers, or design elements to appear doubled, like shadows echoing behind the real image. In some Wyoming quarters, collectors have found this doubling around the word Wyoming, the date 2015, and even on the bison's outline. Then there are die breaks and cuds. These occur when a small piece of the minting die actually cracks or breaks off, causing strange blobs of extra metal to appear on the coin. Some of these look like chunks on the edge of the bison or weird marks in the sky near the geyser. Even more rare are off-center strikes, where the entire design is pushed too far to one side. The more dramatic the shift, and the more of the date and detail that still remain, the more collectors will pay. And let's not forget wrong planchet errors. These are coins struck on metal blanks meant for other denominations, like nickels, dimes, or even foreign coins. A Wyoming quarter with the design of a quarter but the size or weight of another coin. That's a jackpot. But error isn't the only factor. Condition is equally important. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, with mint state, MS coins being the cream of the crop. A Wyoming quarter in MS 67, MS 68, or MS 69 condition, especially with one of these rare errors, is a collector's dream. Now here's where the story gets wild. A collector in the Midwest was searching through coin rolls they picked up from the bank, just looking for fun, a weekend hobby. They weren't expecting anything special. But in one of those rolls, something caught their eye. It was a 2015 Wyoming quarter, but the date looked odd. There was subtle doubling on the numbers. The bison shoulder had a strange mark, and there was a minor off-center strike that shifted the design just enough to make it unique, but not ruined. The coin was sent to PCGS, one of the world's leading coin grading services. After expert evaluation, it came back certified as a mint state 68, with verified multiple die anomalies. That one quarter, worth just 25 cents in everyday currency, was suddenly the centerpiece of a major numismatic auction. Bidders came in from around the world. Collectors knew exactly what they were looking at, a perfect storm of error, rarity, condition, and historic appeal. And when the gavel finally came down, that single Wyoming quarter sold for a jaw-dropping $45,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter from 2015. A coin you might overlook, toss into a tip jar, or leave in your car's cup holder, turned out to be worth $45,000. So what can we learn from this? That treasure doesn't always look like gold bars or pirate maps. Sometimes, treasure jingles quietly in your pocket. The 2015 Wyoming quarter is still out there. In change drawers. In bank rolls. In piggy banks. It's hiding in plain sight. So the next time you get a quarter back from the store, pause. Take a moment. Look closely. You might just be holding a bison. A geyser. A symbol of America's wild spirit. And if you're lucky, you might also be holding a coin worth $45,000.